So, in the vein of comedic masterpieces, The Dirties is a really compelling movie. No, I'm just kidding. Alan Partridge, Alpha Papa.
Okay, I mean, Brennan, you can...
So, I have heard about Alan I've just seen Steve Coogan and stuff in the past. I mean, like, I loved him in Tropic Thunder, and, like, he popped up in a bunch of stuff that I like. I liked Hamlet, too.
I remember the other guys.
He is in the other guys.
Well, Hamlet 2 is a slapper.
Yeah, Hamlet 2, I remember being pretty fun. I actually need to give Hamlet 2 a rewatch, I think.
Have either of you seen any of the Trip movies?
No, I want to watch those though.
He's really funny, and I think there's like 4 of them now. I've only seen the first 2, but the first 2 are really good.
Whatever this one is like supposed to be the last one or whatever, but like we're in the 4th one. Yeah, that other guy is really funny too. I forget his name, but
Rob Brydon, I think. I don't know. I couldn't tell you what he's been in, but he like a similar sort of thing where he like pops up in other comedic movies. Like I think that was sort of the gimmick, was like, let's take these 2 like bit part British chaps and and let them riff on each other for 2 hours. But yeah, no, Steve Coogan's great. I like him a lot.
So I've just heard like a bunch of good stuff about like the character of Alan Partridge, and then like when I kind of looked into it, I saw that it was like co-created between Coogan and the guy who made Veep, and I love Veep. So I was like, okay, I want to watch this or whatever, but then I had also heard it like on a Twitch stream that I was watching where they recommended like a really funny movie was Alan Partridge. So I was like, all right, well, I definitely have to get into this. And then it just came on Tubi the other night that I saw it, and I was like, I'll just check this out. I've never seen any of the show. I know this is like the movie, so I hope I like still get, I accepted that there was going to be stuff that I did not get because there was worried it was going to be
the
show
full of like 10 years of callbacks.
Yeah, which things that like most characters, and I guess that's part of the thing, is that he's a character that's gone over multiple shows.
Well, that's like the Archer syndrome. By like episode or by season 8, they are like their new jokes so that they're not doing their callbacks anymore because they did their callbacks too many times. And now we have had 3 seasons of, well, it's just a callback about the fact that we're not doing callbacks anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I can't stand that.
Alan Partridge, the movie, is incredibly accessible for anybody. I
would say so.
Yeah.
Like,
someone who knew nothing like about this character, or even that he had a show before watching the movie, you could easily put this on and not be left in the dark.
Yeah, I think there was like one thing with like his racist drunk girlfriend at one point that was like I think there was like a joke or 2 there that is like, you might need to know the last interaction they had.
His assistant, they don't expressly explain that she's his assistant until like the end of the movie.
You kind of get it. Yeah, I think you kind of get it.
If you're a real smart guy like Brennan Boorse, you get it. If you're a real dumb guy like Rob Morrissey...
Jacob, what did you think about Lynn? What was your, like, you just assumed what did you assume she was?
I assumed the first 2 scenes that she was in, it was like some sort of like weird wife-girlfriend relationship, and he was cheating on her.
Open relationship wife.
But then
it was like they married and decided to have an open relationship in the TV show.
Right.
And now it's like a weird situation.
But before they had like that like fight that they kind of have 40 minutes in, like a little bit like whatever the last scene her and Steve were in before that, I think I kind of clued in on it.
Yeah, but Jake and I aren't real big smart guys like Brennan, so I think it's understandable that we didn't get it.
Gotcha. He was telling her to make calls and stuff for him, but okay, I mean...
What do you tell your wife to do?
I killed her. I don't tell her anything anymore.
I told her to dig a hole. Final hole in the garden.
Awful to fund the police.
ACAB,
1312, the whole deal. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I stumbled upon it. I was really pleasantly surprised. I think part of the thing that made me go towards it is that I'd heard it like recommended in the same breath as like MacGruber and Hot Rod and Popstar, and those are like 3 of the funniest movies that I know of as well. Like that's like my favorite comedies right there. So I was kind of like, okay, I got to check this out.
Well, here's the other thing. This movie compared to Jack and Jill, this is actual.
I'm laughing at the joke.
This is good comedy versus like I fucking love what Adam Sandler has become. Like,
right. it's less behold it and more like just watch it. It's really like funny. I don't know.
Brennan and I watched it.
So I watched it, and then I watched it again with Rob, and then I think we watched it. Did we watch it twice together?
No, you came over. So literally halfway through. So I like texted Brennan because he was like, "When do you want to watch these other movies?" I was like, "Well, it's only been 3 hours, but I'm putting Alan Partridge back on." And so we watched half of it together, and then Brennan was like, "I'm gonna come over and we're gonna smoke cigarettes," and then we watched the end of it.
Go ahead and cut that part out of the podcast, Jake.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. We were doing heroin together. And then we finished.
Crack cocaine.
Yeah.
Cocaine. Fucking, I don't. Where to even begin with Alan Partridge? Really on this, it's just
it's light, it's dark, it's fast, it's like it's all very. There aren't any jokes where I thought I was laughing at just to kind of keep up with it, just to be like I'm still laughing, like.
Right.
I cracked up every time I watched it. I was like dying. And it's got a very funny like kind of. The logic of it makes sense, where it's playing on like what your expectations are, and then you're like, wait a minute, like 2 seconds, like as you the viewer realize, like, wait a minute, like that doesn't make any sense. It reveals that what you were just watching was like a hallucination or a dream or something like that, and it's very like I don't know, that shit is like very fun to me. Where it plays on like what movie logic is, and then it like kind of overdoes it so that you get it.
And Alan Partridge as a character in this like movie, and I haven't seen the TV shows, but I have to assume it's very similar. In this movie, he comes across like he thinks he's the star of everybody else's movie. And so he tries to do like movie trope stuff to people, and they like it never really works. But when people try to do movie moment stuff to him, he doesn't get it. He is disconnected from the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very much like a Jack Burton type performance where he thinks he's hot shit and doesn't quite realize that like he's just a pawn. I love that kind of character.
The guy I definitely know.
Burton, this person I know. Who is Jack Burton?
You don't know Big Trouble in Little China?
Oh, Jack.
Kurt Russell.
Okay.
Yes.
Brennan and I both looked at each other with this look of like, are we about to pretend that we know who Jack Burton is?
No, but you're talking about like this just like big kind of dummy kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. Someone who thinks he's hot shit and then he like gets his fucking pants caught on the window.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Where he tucks it and they like catch him from behind.
Oh, yeah, he's like, I don't want paparazzi to see me.
Click.
You look like a spring turkey out there.
Yeah, I don't know, Jacob, what was like one of your favorite like laugh bits of the movie?
I really liked I was gonna cut in when you'd said the sort of like dream sequences, like the bit where what's his face, where Pat hands him the shotgun, and like up until the other three like SWAT people take off their helmet, and it's all Steve Coogan with like different facial hair. I was laughing really hard at that. And then when he snaps out of it and Pat goes, "Oh, thanks for not taking the shotgun." Like, that was my favorite. I think my favorite sequence in the whole movie. I liked that a lot.
I think my favorite is when they're in the studio and Pat falls asleep. And Alan is looking at the gun, and his like his coworker who's tied up with the handle on his head. He's like get the thing, and Alan just falls asleep.
I forgot about that.
And it like cuts the next border. Did you sleep well, Alan?
I love watching the character realize what happened, but like. Totally moving on, like not even like apologizing or like trying to like recognize he fucked up, just moving on.
I also love the moment where in the very beginning when he goes into that board meeting and he's like making that big case for Pat, and then he just sees in big bold letters Pat or Alan on the paper, and like in like mid sentence like has to spin like Oh, and
got 10
Pat's a
words
great
for
guy if you like Irishmen. Like, and then it's like flip it around real quick.
He does a bunch of those, like, he has to improvise in the moment of panic kind of things that they kind of heighten to the point where, like, it starts off with he's on the radio with his co-host in the beginning, and he starts saying stuff. He makes the comment about Jislam. And Alan like starts like freaking out and like kind of is saying a little bit of gibberish that like doesn't totally make sense to be like try to cover for it, and like just like it's meant to sound like it's regular radio talk, but it's like
the pencil, the coffee cup, and now the time is 10:22.
Yeah, exactly. And so he like kind of covers for it then, and then he does that other moment of panic there in that room with those guys, where he's wondering if he's gonna get sacked, and he has to do like just sack back and do it in 3 words. Just sack Pat. And then the third time is like when Pat is like got the shotgun.
Pat is like hitting the
he's just like there's bins the window you winnow bin window
so coffee cup and his co-host is like, that doesn't make any sense. He's like, well, and if you if you call in and make it make sense, you'll win a prize, and the prize is the coffee cup blinds window.
and he's just like, keep it light. And if he remakes sense, keep it light. He like even then can't drop that kayfabe as a host.
That guy too is I think Tim Key plays that guy who's been like duct taped up, and he's also a hilarious comedic actor.
Is Cole Meany Pat?
Yes.
I think he's hilarious, and he's a good actor.
Yeah.
I forget what else I've seen him in, but he's really good. I mean, in that dream sequence, that bit where they all take Jason Bourne, Jason Statham, Jason Argonaut. It's Jason and the Argonauts, and he goes, made me laugh so hard the first time I saw it. I was like dying.
That's good. The part where he's like, he does the Captain Morgan like foot up thing, and he's like, all right, let me tell you a story.
Yeah.
He goes to this whole fucking
the karaoke thing.
Yeah, the karaoke story that ends with his boss just screaming, I'm gonna fucking die.
He's gonna fucking kill me.
That's like a recurring gag too, where he'll try and have this big dramatic moment, and then like a sentence or two in, someone will be like, okay,
where it's like, I'm led to believe that when you're saying yes, you get to say some words. He's like, oh, so you are saying yes? Well, I mean, I am,
but I'm gonna build to that.
You couldn't stop me there. There's also this thing I think about British comedy where it's a little more cohesive in the sense that it's less like, behold the horror we have built in this moment. And it's like, because it
really does. If you don't know the fucking, I mean, I feel like this is still wild even for the show. I mean, like, I don't think Pat, the character, goes on a shooting spree in every season of the show or whatever.
Well, there's that stuff. I'm talking about the setup punchline cohesion of like, before there's that whole thing, like Pat says, like, you're going to make me this jingle and you're going to make it exactly how I said it. And then you have 2 minutes where you forget that was even said. And then you hear his jingle verbatim, and it's about how, like, Pat was fucked over by the studio. Really now he's going to kill the hostages. It's like this setup punchline of like, oh, wow, verbatim. Like,
I think it ends on, like, get a couple body bags.
Yeah, it's like, that was beautiful. Yeah. Could you make me more? And they're like, well,
So Alan does this really great, like, when he's like, he'll like, I don't really feel, no, I got it. He literally, like, constantly is like, believes nothing. Truly, like, a man who, like, like, is just, like, the worst type of person that, like, believes absolutely nothing. And it's funny because, like, I don't know. It just fucking really good movie.
Yeah,
really good.
Really funny too. It's like
Oh, you don't want to make it political, Brennan?
No, I don't want to make it political.
Well, I'm gonna make it political.
Go for it.
I just, once again, a movie going into it, I had very few expectations, and I think all the way through the final moments of the movie, I was dying laughing.
Yeah.
In the moments where Alan Partridge is dying, quote unquote, is like all very funny. Like,
I love the
just
part
watching it
where
fly away.
yeah, exactly. What are you doing? Yeah, you're acting weird. That's my point. It's like people do movie tropes to him, like closing his eyes. He's like, "What is wrong with you? Like, who does that?"
I like the little what are they called? Like the little like end cards where they give like the summary of like what happened to each character after the fact.
Yeah.
My favorite one being
brilliant.
the fucking crazy like bus driver guy who's like, the search lasted 45 minutes, he was never found. Like, that made me laugh really hard.
Oh, that dude where he's like, I've got no insurance, I've got no registration.
I don't have my seatbelt on. Trying to pull me over this time.
So good. There's just great little, I mean, like, there's big, broad comedy that, like, hits you over the head, and then there's, like, quick shit that you, like, miss or whatever.
Yeah.
It's all really relatable. I mean, one thing I, like, personally love, the smallest, like, just, like, a small thing, is towards the end there, where Pat is like, my wife, Molly, she was buried at sea, and he's just like Bin Laden. And it, like, kind of just keeps moving. They don't really address it, but it's just, like,
well, it's because the other characters in the universe are like, all right, moving on. Like, we're gonna get back to my thing now.
Oh, where he's like telling the FBI to like shut up. Like, I'm in the middle of something. He's like,
wait, what's he?
He's like
At the
singing
end.
to Pat to like
Yeah,
make
he's
him
singing,
like,
and they're like, Pat, you
calm
don't have to
down.
do this.
Oh,
Right?
they interrupt him. And he's like, what the fuck is your problem? And then like, he's like talking to Pat, and they repeat something he said. He's like, "Oh my god, these guys!" Like, he's annoyed that they're trying to help him.
Well, and like once again, this setup punchline nature of like spoilers, whatever. Alan gets shot in the end by the SWAT guys
and himself.
And Brennan brought up a really good point to me, which is like, I thought the SWAT guys might have just shot him because he kept fucking up and they were annoyed by him. But Brennan brings up the fact they set up a joke that people have been aiming, like their aim is so off, like 10 feet off. Like, you know what we're talking about with like the air rifle where he shoots Pat and he has to like aim at Margaret Thatcher. And he's
Susan Boyle.
Or it's Susan Boyle. He's like, trust me, Susan. And he like, so like Brennan brings this up to me. I'm like, that has to be it, where they set up this thing where it's like they just weren't dialed in correctly with their scope and they shot the wrong guy.
I'm curious about that. We referenced it earlier, but that Godfather joke, Jacob, do you know what I'm talking about?
No, remind me.
So it's like towards the beginning, and it's at the big company party.
Oh,
it's the
new owner of the studio. He's like, I don't like movies with subtitles. I don't like black and white movies. I've never seen Citizen Kane, but I love The Godfather. The Godfather's the best.
And they're talking about the acting's good in The Godfather, and he just kind of sneaks in and he goes, "Hey, that's really good. But you know, it's really, really
People
good.
are always shocked when I say this.
The camera angles," and then like,
he gets pulled away from the
before he ever has to defend that like dumb guy take or whatever. Like, it's so funny to me because it's such just like a base, like, you know, that's just a thing you could say about any movie trying to be a smart guy, you know, like.
Well, yeah, it's like that. It is that really dumb guy who thinks he's the smartest guy in the room who's like, I'm gonna come up with something very nuanced to talk about that is.
You know, what if God didn't exist?
Yeah, what if God didn't exist?
All right.
Yeah, explain the Grand Canyon to me. Which is gonna be like, not to get into my own views, I'm not an atheist, but I'm not like super whatever. I am going to say that to any person who says to me proudly that they're an atheist. I am going to get in their face and be like, then explain the goddamn Grand Canyon to me.
The gosh darn
son of a bitch.
The gosh darn.
Yeah, the G darn.
I once was on Xbox with someone, and I said, my mom was in the room and I didn't want to curse in front of her, so I said, God darn it. And the person goes, it's kind of wild. You think that like the God is like the not offensive part of that thing to me. Like it's like I rarely said "gosh damn it," and I'm like, well, my mom's okay with it, so that's not how that works over here.
That's too good. But
Jacob,
Alan Partridge.
Jacob, so like I said, Brennan and I were like, we don't really know what your comedic sensibilities are. Like, where have you seen this now? Like, where do you rank it in your opinion of like comedies?
It's definitely up there.
Okay.
I kind of am a little bit inconsistent with like what I really enjoy out of a comedy, but like this is definitely up there, I would say. I'm trying to think like what my favorite, like to as like a base of like what my favorite comedy would be to compare it to, and I can't like. I'm having trouble coming up with that.
Go through your encyclopedia that you're writing of all the movies you've ever seen, and go to the single comedy page.
Well, no, we're actually I do have a list, not of the comedies, but I do have I did a favorite movies list on my Instagram a while back, so let's just see which comedies stand out. What We Do in the Shadows is on there.
Okay, What We Do in the Shadows. There we go. I love hearing that.
Yeah. And which, by the way, Brennan and I have since watched the show, and I do very much enjoy it. I was very pleasantly surprised. Rob
is also a big proponent.
I'm on a huge. I wish there was like more than just the 2 seasons in the movie right now because it's so good. Okay, so like you don't have like a bad meter for comedy. Like
because Rob and I are
for me a comedy is either
we're the
like
arbiters of humor, yes.
Yeah. I'm kind of I would say that like I'm either gonna really like the comedy or I'm just gonna think it whatever. Like I very rarely like it's not often where I watch a movie that's meant to be funny and I'm like I really hated this, which is why the Jack and Jill is a rare exception where I was like I really am not having a good time with this.
I don't mean to sound like an arbiter of comedy, but there are people who would be like, Jackass 3 is the greatest comedy of all time, you know? And it's you could make the argument if you're like 12 and you just learn like fuck as a curse word.
Oh, okay. No. Okay, no. Now that I'm still going through this list and I completely forgot. I would say that probably my favorite comedy of all time is Black Dynamite. Have either of you seen that movie? Yeah. That's a really good movie. That's I think that hilarious movie. It doesn't get better than that.
I think I saw it when it first came out, but I'm not sure.
Hebrew Hammer.
With Jason Schwartzman?
Yeah. On the theme of Black Dynamite, a Hebrew Hammer came to mind.
But I would say I definitely say this is up there.
Booty Tang.
I really liked, I very much enjoyed Alan Partridge.
The Louis C.K. film Booty Tang. Come on, man. The Louis C.K. black superhero.
Louis Tang. Before I recommended that, I was going to recommend the MacGruber movie, which, Jacob, you seemed like you thought that was a punishment. But that's like
that's another scenario where I looked at with Jack and Jill. I looked at the trailer for that and I was like, okay, well, I'm never watching that. And so far you recommended a show to me that I thought was gonna suck and I ended up liking it. So who's to say? I could check out MacGruber and very much like it, but I was not a fan based on what I saw.
Have you seen Hot Rod?
No.
Okay. Have you seen any of like the Lonely Island movies or anything like that?
I've seen bits and pieces of Popstar, and I thought that was pretty funny.
Okay, cool. So it is like that's all those guys making that movie and everything. So I just find those guys really funny. But MacGruber is like maybe one of the funniest comedies I've ever seen. It really makes me laugh like genuinely hard, and like not laughing at the movie, like totally like laughing at what it's intending to do.
I think
and there's a lot of stuff that's like just bold and slapstick, but there's a lot of stuff that like really plays on tropes that you don't know they're playing on quite in the moment, and then like really take you off guard. And I don't want to say what the big one is, but there's like a really big one in like the first 20 minutes that like really like sets everything up and like is a gut punch and like very funny.
My whole thing with MacGruber was I was a fan of the sketches, and I was like, okay, well, how can they take a concept like this and make it work in an hour and a half? But it's from what I'm hearing, it's mostly it's a little bit of that, and then also let's spoof all this other shit that goes with the same territory.
I was about to say, popular comedy, the thing that like partly killed it was because it was so heavily spoofed. It was from like Scary Movie through like, once again, they don't make big budget studio comedies anymore. Like they thought that the model was like, we need to make like as many spoof movies. There needs to be a spoof movie for every legitimate movie that comes out.
Right.
That's not comedy. Like that's just, to me, that is like a failing of.
And the thing is, those were not even spoof movies. Those are like, let's just reference the hottest things from the past 2 years.
Like, Meet the
and
Spartans,
that's funny, isn't it?
It's like Meet the Spartans is like
suck.
Well, it's like Meet the Spartans is 300, but it's also like Step Up, and it's High School Musical. It's like.
What was that one? Hold on. There was one spoof movie made by the same people who did the fucking the same like epic movies. Meet this what you just said. I'm trying to figure out what it came out recently. No, it was a horror movie parody, but it had this obnoxiously long title. I can't.
Oh, I just saw one on Tubi where it was like 30 Days of Paranormal Activity.
Yeah, that's the one. It's like 30 Days of Paranormal Activity
with the devil inside.
Yeah, it's like I literally just saw the poster of that, and I was like, okay, this is the pinnacle of modern comedy. Great.
Well, but didn't they do that with like? Isn't there like in the time of like Not Another Teen Movie? There's a
Shriek
like,
if you know what I did
last summer. Scream or something.
Or it's Shriek if you know what I did last Friday the 13th.
There, okay,
yeah.
You see, like that is itself not an original thing to be like we have this long movie title.
There's also like the 41-year-old virgin who knocked up Sarah Marshall and felt super
okay,
bad
no,
about
here we
it.
go. Yeah, I just found it. 30 Nights of Paranormal Activity with the devil inside the girl with the dragon tattoo.
The Dragon Tattoo!
Crazy.
Not a horror movie!
That's so crazy.
So wild. That's the one they chose.
Well, I mean, Jacob, I want to recommend a comedy to you that I think Brennan will agree that you need to see. Boo! Medea's Halloween.
Tyler Perry's
Medea
Halloween.
Jesus Christ.
Both of them are quality.
It's quite the double feature, actually, and there's a lot of growth, and there's a lot of like, whoa, the characters developed so much over that first movie. How is there room to grow in the second movie?
How do you even like make their stories even bigger than this?
But it's like it's X-Men 1 to X-Men 2. It's Paddington 1 to Paddington 2.
It gets better.
It's the Godfather 1 to Godfather 2.
It gets worse? I'm confused at what you're trying to say.
It's Spider-Man 1 to Spider-Man 2. It's like, it's Star Wars to, like, they're movies. They're sequels.
Just movies.
I tell you what.
That's the point.
If this show is successful enough to make it to October, we'll do a Halloween special, and we'll talk about the Medea Haunted House double feature.
Yeah, I would absolutely do the Boo. Like, we will. If you're doing like a 30 days type deal or whatever for Halloween.
I think I walked out of both of them. We definitely paid to see them both, but I think I might have walked out of both of those movies.
You definitely didn't.
I didn't?
No. I would not have let you.
I walked out of one of them.
Understand, I would have restrained you.
No, we walked out of one of those.
I don't think we did.
Yeah,
I really don't think we did.
So it's just kind of just a whole. What do you remember?
Most of both. I think I remember the ending for both movies.
I don't remember anything really.
Yeah, that's just like you. That's just you being high all the time.
I don't know. I mean, no, I didn't have a weed card at the time. It was impossible.
Right. It was impossible. Yeah, you haven't been high until very recently in your life.
It's never happened.
So all this is to say, Alan Partridge is a 10 out of 10 comedy. Everyone should see it.
Yep.
I give it 3 thumbs up. Brennan, give me a thumb.
I'll give you 2 more. And you can just call us all the Partridge family because it sounds like we're in agreement here. It's a good movie.
So then I hate to bring us down from the sound of it, but our third and final movie that we're talking about is the one I recommended, which is Matt Johnson's... Oh, actually, hold on, really quick. Alan Partridge, you can watch for free on Tubi with ads. It's also free on YouTube Movies.
And they'll get you with those ads.
Oh.
And it should be available other places as well. I don't know how readily available the show is, but I'm sure you can find
apparently on
clips
HBO
of it.
Max.
Yeah, it's all on HBO.
Okay, well then, yeah, go check out the show as well. I know I will, because Steve Coogan is hilarious, and I want to see more of his
really,
character.
if I could recommend one thing really out of this episode, people should check out Alan Partridge.
Definitely.
And really just for, like, in the effort to be, like, your dollar is your vote, and even if you're watching it for free, like, show them that Alan Partridge, like, makes that ad revenue. Like, we need more shit like Alan Partridge in the world.
Exactly.